Okay, everybody, first of all, Happy New Year. And yeah, I know it's about 4 years after the new year. I had to wait until I was alone to be able to do this video, but now that it is here, it is going, it is happening, we are finally getting to it after all these months. Guts from the popular manga work of art made by Kentaro Miura, or Berserk. Berserk and versus Kaine Parker, inspired by the main Spider-Man, Peter Parker, created by legendary Stan Lee. Both of these characters are either made by or were heavily inspired, and basically, or in Kane's case, cloned by, cloned straight off of in the coolest way possible. So, which one of these two legendary fighters from legendary artists and writers is gonna come out on top in this fateful brawl? Or will it be Guts, the ultimate struggler, or Kaine, the Spider-Man with all the powers and none of the responsibility? You know, besides the responsibilities he gives himself, but that's a cooler name, so we're gonna go with that. Well, first off, let's just get into this, shall we? Now, first we're gonna start off with, of course, physicality and athleticism. And who better to start off with? And I think the best one to start off with is Guts for this one. And we're gonna start by talking about Guts' attack potency for now. Now, Guts' attack potency is actually very good. He has about, you can get him from anywhere from multi-city block, which would be around, we get him anywhere from multi-city block, which would be around 100 tons to 1 kiloton. Anywhere to the middle of Lord's Town level with the Grundle feat while he was in the Berserker armor, which would be around 300 kilotons, which would actually put him right in the middle of Lord's Town level. Or you could possibly get him to small city level in his injured state while him and Zod were fighting God. Gensiki? It was this weather apostle that could create massive storms. And it was based, and unlike most storm stuff, it was in this type of prism where all the power was collected. And an injured Guts while fighting on Zod was capable of using the Dragon Slayer to crack it open and break it. And I believe that feat was calculated to be small city level, but I can't really find. I'll find the count to be around small city level essentially, basically there, which would be about 1 megaton to 6.3 megatons. So basically, Guts. So for the sake of argument, we're going to put Guts' base stats at around possibly 1 megaton, just to be fair, and say that in his Berserker armor with. And then 1 megaton, just to be fair. And then for his durability, it would of course be up there with his attack potency. Of course. And then we have his speed and reaction timing. He can move at supersonic speeds faster than the eye can see, and in terms of reaction timing, he actually does have a feat where he reacted to a lightning bolt coming at him, and he managed to get up from a kneeling position and jam his Dragon Slayer into the ground, preventing it from shocking him. This will put his speed at around Mach 318 in base. I found a base, and from what I have seen, that seems like it could be the most. And just for the sake of brevity, we're gonna say this is the most likely speed that we can get from him. Because the only other, I did find another one for Mach 900 that we could also use. So for speed, but seeing as we need to keep it. I'll say instead it should be something that would be a bit easier. So we're gonna just say Mach 318 and Mach for now. Because I think that one had a bit more to it than the Mark 900. I'll have to do more research on the Mark 900. But either way, Guts would be pretty. That's his base. Those are his base. That's his base speed. And with the Berserker armor, which would grant him about a 15 times increase, please give or take. That would be around I'll be around Mark. Wait, hold up, let me get my calculator out. Okay, 318 times. Hurry up. Okay, 318 times 15. And that will put him at around Mach 4,770. And then if we were to take the 900 Mach 900 feet, that'll put him at around Mach 3,500. So that's pretty good for Guts. Wait, oh crap. So that's pretty good for Guts. And then in terms of durability and stamina, in terms of endurance and stamina, which are honestly some of his best traits, we have Guts quite literally being capable of fighting while he's experiencing excruciating pain to his body and mind and spirit. Quite literally, you losing more than half the blood in his body, and he keeps fighting, gets KO'd twice in one fight, gets his ribs broken, is excessively bleeding, still wants to fight, and beats his opponent after they got an amp. Where they have a size advantage, the opponent was Wayland. During the eclipse, he managed to fight a bunch. He basically cut his own arm off just to get away from a demon to kill Griffith. He managed to run for an entire day while critically injured, right after losing an eye and an arm and being covered in bandages. He can also run for a day and a half while carrying a 400 to 600 pound Dragon Slayer on his back, along with heavy armor and the rest of his equipment on him. And he has fought through some he has endured sonic attacks that will liquefy in his organs and still got up repeatedly. He managed to basically and he also managed to, let me see here, manages to fight 100 men while suffering from arrow wounds and being mortally wounded. Managed to fight. He manages to stay conscious from wounds that will make someone else pass out. Doesn't react to being tortured at all. Manages to fight a moth who impales him straight through his mouth, lifts him up into the air, and has its eardrums ruptured, his senses are disoriented, then falls from several feet after shooting her while jumping through fire to cut her, all in the span of one fight, and still would have killed her if it wasn't for somebody intervening. And her name was Rosalind, by the way. And then he even manages to go on and fight a bunch of knights afterwards, and even almost kills the leader until he succumbs to his wounds. He even tanks spiritual damage. Damage like it's nothing and just gets up and walks it off. Severe wounds on his spirit, mind you. I could list a bunch of other insane and stamina and endurance feats from Guts. But just know that anything short of cutting his head off or whipping his heart out is not going to keep him down. And now we get to Kaine Parker, aka the Scarlet Spider. So, where would this Kaine stack up into? Oh wait, I've also forgot, Guts can also lift anywhere from 2 to 4 tons in base and 30 plus tons in the Berserker armor state. So I just felt like I needed, like, put that out there first before I went on to him. So actually, to cover up for that mistake, we're gonna go with Kaine now, and we're gonna go over his physicality as well with this one. So how strong would Kaine be? Well, Kaine is a direct clone of Peter, so naturally it would be safe to say that he is as strong as Peter, which wouldn't be correct. He is over 3 times stronger than Peter. He was capable of fighting Peter, Ben Reilly, and another clone of Spider-Man all at once and beat all of them without much effort. But he is even stated repeatedly throughout all issues that he is physically superior to Peter Parker in terms of strength, athleticism, and physicality. How much stronger are we talking about here? Yeah, so how strong would that really make him? Well, in terms of AP and attack potency, Spider-Man has pretty solid town level feats. That would be anywhere from 5.8 kilotons to 100 kilotons. Tons. Actually, no, he has town plus level feats, which would be actually 100 kilotons. Tons via moving the Hulk out of the way of a meteor at speed that would pulverize another human to paste at high Mach speeds, and then surviving an explosion from a volcano that was calculated to be around town level plus, or around the higher ends of town level. And this isn't even the best. These aren't even his best feats. These aren't even Peter's best feats. He also has feats where he quite literally whips apart, destroys the arms of Dr. Octavius, who can sustain hits from Megaton, whose tentacle arms can sustain hits from Megaton warheads, which would, and as everyone knows, a Megaton warhead would be around city level, anywhere from 6.3 megatons to 100 megatons. In terms of attack potency, that's about 1,000 times stronger than kilotons. So basically, tons. And then we also have the fact that these also survived the explosion from an island. So I'm really lowballing them by putting them at 100 megatons. And then we have, so with attack potency and durability covered. And again, Kaine is at least 3 times stronger than this. So it means he's at least 3 times as durable. So now with this, we can get on to... So now with this, we can really just get on to his speed. Kaine is light speed. That's pretty much all there is to it. Kaine can move at the speed of light. Literally the speed of light. There are several feats where Spider-Man is capable of moving faster than characters that are at the speed of light, or can only be caught by people who can move at the speed of light. He has his spider sense has been able to detect beams of light and radio waves that do of course work on the ultraviolet light spectrum, which move at the speed of light. He has dodged lasers and repulsor lasers from Iron Man and other Marvel characters that have been stated to be light speed, meaning Kaine is faster than the speed of light because he is of course faster than Spider-Man, because he's a superior physical clone. So basically, and in terms of stamina and endurance, it would honestly be endurance. He would be more than capable of doing more than Peter could do physically. basically in terms of endurance and stamina. Peter one time went 24 hours without eating and 96 hours without sleeping to stop crime. Kaine could easily one-up him with that. Peter? With that. So he would pretty much, meaning he could quite literally outlast Guts in an extended fight. He doesn't have any, I haven't seen anything really showing that they have anywhere near the pain tolerance or endurance that Guts has. Or the sheer endurance, and stamina is how long you can keep going. Endurance is how much pain you can sustain while keeping going. Those are two different things. So basically what this means is that he can sustain this amount of... Alright, hold up. That's much better. Okay, so basically what this means is that he can sustain this amount of force. That Guts has better endurance, but Kaine has better stamina. Meaning Guts will endure a lot more punishment, but Kaine will be able to endure a lot more physical exertion. It also doesn't help that Kaine pretty much outmuscles him by a lot, and this is just attack potency. In terms of strength, Spider-Man has been shown to be capable of having the strength to lift over 100 tons. I'll say that again. 100 tons. Even if I didn't use that, there are he can lift anywhere from 57 tons to over 100,000. Even a Marvel writer has already stated he can lift over 1,000 tons on occasion. And while injured, him and a weakened Venom, both of them were not at their full potential, were capable of basically pushing a 5,000 ton Ferris wheel. Basically, even while injured, he can still lift up 2,500 tons. Kaine is not just out-muscling Guts. Kaine is pretty much overpowering him completely in terms of physical strength, in terms of AP, and he's speed blitzing ridiculously. Is what it would be the only way Guts could really... So basically the only way Guts could really even hope to get out a win here is to immediately go into his Berserker armor form, which he actually has been relying on more so because his body has been becoming more accustomed to the suit. So he would naturally go into this form first and foremost. But basically this would require on how they fight. But wait, does Kaine even speed blitz people? Yeah, he does. In fact, his entire fighting style is way more brutal, and he is not scared to use... Actually, he uses a lot of lethal force in how he fights. Now, this is dependent on the situation, but he is willing to kill and use damaging critical lethal force and be as brutal as possible, just like Guts is willing to do. Although both of them have mellowed out a bit since then, Kaine is still willing to go ham. He will not hold back at all, even against human opponents. And considering Guts is well above a normal human opponent, Kaine would not hold back at all. He would go all out from the start, and he would speed blitz Guts. The only thing that would keep Guts in the fight even momentarily would be his endurance. But considering that Kaine strikes are quite literally... Considering Kaine's strikes are at the bare minimum, hundreds of thousands of times stronger than him, without his Berserk, and for not using the small it would be pretty hard, but if we're using the small city stuff, it becomes a bit more, he can't actually have a leg up until we get to the fact that even if we put him at the highest of small city level, he's still vastly weaker than the higher end of city of city level. Small city level caps out at about 6.3 megatons, and city level caps out at around 100 megatons. And as I've already stated, I could legitimately get Kaine to island level if I took the island level feats, but I didn't do that to make the fight more fair. But to be fair, this fight honestly just can't really go past this, if I'm being perfectly honest. Even with the Berserker armor, he still gets Even with the Berserker armor, he still gets blitzed to hell and back. They'll still give him back, which is kind of interesting. Back, just like this would make the Eclipse look like a cakewalk. And yeah, he does have incredible pain tolerance that would keep and endurance that would keep him in the fight way longer than he should be in it. And the Berserker armor does, but let's go over some ways that we could possibly, and I mean this in the biggest possibly, that Guts could possibly pull out a win here. It's not a big possibility, but considering that one of the dude's ability. So let's just quickly go over the skills and abilities real quick. Kaine doesn't have any spider sense, which doesn't really matter considering him and Spider-Man have both reacted to attacks that are well outside the field of vision, and from behind them, their reflexes and instincts are just that good. It also helps that Guts has the ability to analyze his opponent first. And if the fight hasn't started already, it would take one of them to start the fight, and in that way, Guts would probably be able to get a good read in on Kaine's fighting style before the fight happens. Still wouldn't stop him from getting blitzed, but it would give him the moment to react. He might, and if he does read how strong Kaine is, and I do think, and seeing on their personalities, it's possible Kaine would be the first. I do believe Kaine would more or less likely be the first one to attack with his more brass and rough-going personality, in comparison to Guts' more somber and calculated approach to things nowadays. Guts is still brutal, don't get me wrong, but he's nowhere near what he was like in the Black Sword. But he's nowhere near what he was when he was going on that rampage, on that apostle rampage. That was a different beast altogether. Guts has vastly superior combat experience and combat skill compared to Kaine, and he's a master swordsman, and an expert and a general, and an expert in general warfare, which doesn't really do much considering Kaine one time killed Wolverine, and yes, Kaine did state he was stronger, faster, and more powerful than Wolverine, and then he immediately knew that didn't matter when Wolverine almost disemboweled him. He managed to find a chink in Wolverine's defenses and stab him with his stingers. Oh, also Kaine has stingers he can emit from his forearms, meaning he could stab Guts. And he has lobotomized people with these stingers before. Now, it took Carnage of all people to push him to that point, so it's very unlikely he would just, lobotomize Guts right off the bat, but he is more than capable of doing it. And even in the Berserker armor, Guts is still, and look, Kaine has been caught off guard by people that are way slower than him. But that's because he was fighting multiple people at once, and basically invaded the Charles Xavier school of mutants. Of course, there were gonna be people that could get around his defenses there. And he doesn't have spiders. He does not have As I've stated, he doesn't have spider sense, and while they can, and they don't really need spider sense to see attack, and they don't really need spider sense because they do have instinctive reactions like Guts does. Because as well as the ability to perceive their opponents, that's really kind of their opponents. Guts would still be you could argue Guts could get some lucky hits in by using his superior combat intelligence, and he has been able to trick outsmart and outmaneuver around other opponents, like how he tricked Waylon, how he tricked Rosaline, how he's tripped up Zod in the sword fight. But that's just. So he could possibly be capable of doing that. But Kaine's reaction timing would always help prevent any lethal damage, even if he does get damaged. And yeah, while Guts' Dragon Slayer does cut on an astral plane, Kaine is a direct clone of Peter, who has endured astral and mental assaults before, so that's not really gonna do anything. And the Berserker, but the only good thing is that the Berserker armor completely gets rid of any pain, so Guts is not gonna be in any pain here. It doesn't heal him. He will be seriously injured while in the Berserker armor. That's the thing. But also, while he's injured in the Berserker armor, it kind of just gets him back together like a doll. But let's just say, like a doll. So he'll be able to keep, and it'll let him keep going until all the blood in his body is gone and every bone is broken. So he'll be able to fight for a long, and considering that he's already capable of doing that without the Berserker armor, we can see this fight going on for possibly a day or three. Yeah, NK? 3. And let's just say for the record, and let's just say hypothetically that Guts did possibly manage to at best shove his sword straight through Kaine. Not in that way, I mean through his chest. You know, violently speaking. So anyway, he shoves his sword through Kaine's chest, and then Kaine dies, right? No, because even if Kaine dies, he can come back as the other, a monstrous spider entity that quite literally brings him back from the dead. And doesn't just do that, it heals all of his wounds. Let me repeat that. It heals all of his wounds. It even heals a tattoo he got a couple of weeks before. And he had to get a new tattoo. So basically, and this is at least a 4 times amp, by the way, too. So not only 2. So this would put him in the Lord, and at the bare minimum, into Lord City level. Which would mean that it doesn't matter what the Berserker armor does. Guts is going to get knocked out of it. And that's if Kaine doesn't just whip him out. Because while in the other, Kaine is not going to hesitate to kill him. And he has he will impale Guts straight through the skull. What if he turns into the other, and Guts will be dead. That's pretty much how the fight goes. There's not really much else to cover. I really, really wish this fight could have gone on longer and I have more to talk about. But there's really just nothing Guts can do. Well, you can do. At the end of the day, he's just too slow, too weak, and doesn't have enough stamina to keep up the fight. And his pain tolerance is only going to delay the inevitable. And the Berserker armor isn't going to help. Now, I could mention all the weaponry Guts has, and I could mention all his tactics that could probably trip Kaine up, but at the end of the day, I can mention how Puck could probably heal Guts, but Kaine's spiders could just, tie Puck up. Puck might be able to fight 1 or 2 spiders, but he's not fighting several hundred, webbing him up to keep him out of a fight. So at best, Guts is only going to have one go at using the pixie dust, and it's not really going to do much. He'll probably have a second chance at figuring out Kaine's fighting style. Not going to do much again, because he'll be too fast for him to see. He might be able to get lucky and trap Kaine and use the cannonball on him, but at best it'll only moderately injure him, and that's if it injures him at all. The arrows aren't going to do anything. The throwing knives are going to do anything. Any type of close quarters combat is going to end terribly for Guts. Especially with that strength disparity. We're talking about a literal 100 times difference in physical strength. Possibly 1,000. Then if I use the higher feeds. And then there's the other which straight up just kills Guts without any issue. to. I really want Guts to have a chance in this fight. I really do. He's one of my favorite manga characters. One of my favorite characters in any story, actually. One of my favorite characters in stories. And Kaine is based off one of my favorite characters in Marvel. Well, besides the Punisher. Probably should have put him up against the Punisher, basically. So that'll be a more fair fight. But in this fight, Guts' struggles just don't end in his favor this time around. The winner is the Scarlet Spider, aka Kaine Parker. Stay faithful, my ballers.